play the script out until the end, because sometimes we get so overwhelmed, we will think up a whole scenario in our mind, point A, point B, and by the time we get to point C, we are fed up, we are done, and it hasn't even happened. None of it has happened, but we have. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Heavenly Help. I'm Mia. Please like, share, and subscribe. Here on this channel, what I like to do is I like to combine the precepts of Christianity along with CBT techniques, put them together and come up with a plan that we can develop to help both heal our hearts and mend our mind. Now, I'm not going to be on here long today. I was just thinking, I was on social media, right? I love social media, right? I love social media for everything that it is good for, and it's good for so many different things. It's informative. It brings awareness. It brings people together, right? From different, walks of life, from different countries, from different areas, ethnicities. It gives us information. It causes us to be informative of what's going around in our different sectors, even in the workplace, right? In the world, in different family structures. It gives us new ideas, right? It brings encouragement. It brings us together. It's definitely entertaining, right? But then there's some negative sides of social media, as with anything as well. It can cause division, right? It can plant fear in us. It can plant lies. It can imitate unhealthy behavior. It can cause paranoia to set in our lives. It can cause competition, and it can also foster hate. And so, as with anything, there's always positives, but there are negatives. And I kind of wanted to, talk about that in the world and how those negative things can affect our minds, right? On our day-to-day life, how those negative things can affect our minds. And I'm not attacking social media. Because this isn't an attack on social media. It's just an example of how, there's so many things out in this world, and they can either be good or bad. And it's about the discussion that we always want to try to be mindful. And we always want to be on the positive, on the fortifying, aspects of what is right? We want to extrapolate what is good and reject the bad as much as we can. It's not always possible, but if it's something that we work at that we are mindful of, we can get better, and we can get better. And that's what we want to do. That's why we're here. Because we really want to be at a place where we are not consumed by the trials of this world. And it is so difficult not to be consumed by the trials of this world when there are so many things going on. But that's what we're called to do. Because if we are consumed by the trials of this world, then we can't be the salt of this world, can we? We can't be consumed and then be the salt at the same time. It just doesn't work like that. So we need to decide what side we are going to be in, because we are all going to face challenges, and we are all going to face difficulties. What we don't want to do is be so consumed by this world that we lose focus on the promises of God, the promises that God has made to us. The promises to forgive, right? Promises of forgiveness, answered prayer, provision, comfort, freedom, strength, power, salvation, and freedom. And those are just some of the promises of God that we need to be focused on. And again, okay, this does not mean that we are supposed to walk around completely oblivious, right, to the world and the things that are going on. And because these things are really happening, and we do need to be made aware. But what we don't want to do is walk around in a constant state of paranoia, thinking that everything is out to get us. Everything is out to get us. Everything is not out to get us. Everything is not out to get you. Yes, we do. we do have this demon, right, out in the world, the prince of this world that we know is called to kill, steal, and destroy. But we also know that we have a God, right? And my God says that 1,000 may fall at their side and 10,000 at their right, but it shall not come nigh thee. That's what my word says. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at. But speaking on the word, I was reading Ecclesiastes 1:9 today. So as I was reading Ecclesiastes 1:9, which reads, "The thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun." The NLT version reads, "History merely repeats itself. It has all been done before. Nothing new is under the sun. Nothing is truly new." And the Message Bible reads, "What was will be again. What happened will happen again. There's no new thing on this earth. Year after year, it's the same old thing," right? Year after year, it's the same old thing. So it kind of talks about the monotony of life, right? Nothing is new. Nothing is new. So while we are observing the pursuits of happiness, right, we realize that all of the former desires, former pursuits, complaints, all of that is still the same. As it was yesterday, it's still the same today. So let's work on distancing ourselves from those thoughts that disturb us. I was talking to my mom the other day, and I was telling her I went into a panic attack just looking at the world news, just looking at the regular news, right? I mean, day after day, evening after evening, just so much trauma, right? So much trauma, so much bondage, so much iniquity. And we're witnessing this in real time, and it's just enough to really cause you to have a panic attack. So we have to learn that when things trigger us, we have to learn what triggers us, and those things that trigger us, we have to give ourselves the permission to step back. We owe that to ourselves, and remembering that everything is all good. We're good. Everything is all good. There are still good people out here. There's still good women. There are still good men. There's still good kids, right? There's still good jobs. There are still helpful people. There are still dependable people. There are still righteous people. There are still honorable relationships. There are still good marriages. There is still love. There is respect still. And there is still honor. There is still good in this world. How do we know there is still good in this world? Because we are still here. And not only does good live in us, right? We know that if we are still here, God has came back. Our Lord and Savior has not come back yet. God is still here. God still has work to do. God is still in the building. It's all good. And for Ecclesiastes 1:9, I wanted to read you, y'all know I love my Matthew Henry's commentary. Mom, don't say nothing, okay? You never mind. 1:9. We're still in the book of Ecclesiastes, and this is the Matthew Henry's commentary. "Men's hearts and their corruptions are the same now as in former times. Their desires and pursuits and complaints still the same. This should take us from expecting happiness in the creature and quicken us to seek eternal blessings. How many things and persons in Solomon's day were thought very great, yet there is no remembrance of them now." Think about that. So I truly believe as we focus more on prayer, first, always pray. If we focus more on prayer and we implement some cognitive behavioral practices into play, we will absolutely be able to live and feel a more positive, more fulfilling, more satiated, more desirable life. But we have to stay away from negative thoughts. We just do. We have to stay away from not negative thoughts. We have to stay away from negative deeds. We have to stay away from negative people. Hello. We have to stay away from those things. If we are really truly sincere about being more well balanced and being more positive. And I wanted to let you know about some of the cognitive, distortions, right? And distortions, basically, it's something that takes away from the truth, right? It tries to infiltrate the truth. That's what a distortion is in my own definition. I didn't look this definition up, but I know what it means. And basically, it tries to, initiate itself in the truth, right? And dispel the truth. That's what a distortion is. So you're confused. And we know, right, that God is not the author of confusion. So whenever we see distortion playing out, right, in our everyday lives, right, in our relationships, we see distortions. We don't want to fall for that. We want to stay on the, path of the straight and narrow. So I'm just going to tell you a few of the cognitive distortions that we experience, right? Filtering. Filtering is focusing on the negative and ignoring the positive, right? Just focusing on the negative. Catastrophizing, that's a big one, expecting the worst outcome in any situation, minimizing the positive that could come out of it. Polarized thinking, that's a cognitive distortion. That's basically saying all or nothing. I want it all or I don't want it at all. Well, you really do yourself a lot of disservice because number one, nobody has it all. So that's just that. Another cognitive distortion is emotional reasoning. I feel it must be true. I just feel that this must be true. It's just got to be true. It's not true. Half the times it's not true. Like my sister says, believe, what does she say? 50% of what you see and nothing of what you hear, something like that. Usually it's not even true. And then the last distortion that I'm going to speak on is global labeling. Okay. And that's a big one now. Global labeling is extreme generalization, right? Global labeling. So it's about this part of the world, this group of people, whatever, right? You just lump everything together, everyone, every practice, and generalize it. And those are some of the cognitive distortions that you and I experience every day, and we want to distance ourselves from those. So to wrap everything up here today, I just wanted to throw in 5 CBT techniques that can help us when we're trying to stay away from negativity. And we're trying to, develop a more positive person within ourselves. Number 1, we should all know this by now. If you know me, journaling. Journal. I love to journal. I've been journaling since I was a little girl. I have journals since I can go back to when I was in high school. I have journals, and it's very therapeutic to go back and see where you were, and in some cases where you still are, and then where you were and you just are like so far from that place. So always journal, put your thoughts on paper. It's a way to get things out of your mind and, out into the open, right? Because we know that when we hold things in, which is something that I've been known to do, I think that's possibly some of the reason that I have some of the physical challenges I've had, because the physical always mimics the spiritual, right? So how we are in our spiritual life, it can affect us physically. Whole nother topic, but journaling. It's good for self-reflection. Relaxed breathing, right? It brings us calm and focus. Play the script out to the end. Yes, that is a technique. Play the script out until the end, because sometimes we get so overwhelmed, we will think up a whole scenario in our mind, point A, point B, and by the time we get to point C, we are fed up, we are done, and it hasn't even happened. None of it has happened, but we have created this whole scenario. So play the script till the end, right? It's probably better than you thought. So the final 2 CBT techniques that I'm going to quickly discuss today are the 4th one, unraveling cognitive distortions. It is what it says. Unraveling cognitive distortions, those things that we have integrated into our thoughts and our thought processes, and we deem them to be true. Unraveling those things, identifying by fully thinking and challenging our faulty thinking, right? Identifying where our thinking is faulty and then challenging that faulty thinking. And then the last one I'm going to discuss today is cognitive restructuring. And when you are in cognitive restructuring, it's simply exploring the causes of faulty thinking, right? And reframing that thinking, reframing and restructuring our thoughts. And I always talk about how important it is to reframe and restructure our thoughts. And that may be a point where we need to implement therapy, right? You got BetterHelp out here. There's all type of different therapy programs. A lot of times through your job, there's an EAP program. Utilize that. You're paying for that. It's free. Do whatever it takes to have a sound mind. So I hope that these tools are helpful to you in having a sound mind. If there are any of the techniques that you like me to go over more in depth, I'd be happy to. Just drop a comment down below. And please, as always, like, share, and subscribe. Have a blessed day.